you might hear that number and say, Chris, I can't imagine being able to save 50% at this point. Even if you're a high income earner, that can be a very lofty goal. Welcome to the Next Level Income Show, where it's our goal to take your income, your investments, and your life to the next level. I'm your host, Chris Larson. When do you want to become financially independent? I'm excited to be launching our new series. It is our new ebook that we are going to be sharing here over the course of the next several weeks, How to Be Financially Free by 40. And this isn't any ordinary ebook. It's going to be interactive. So it's going to walk through the 5 steps that I use to achieve financial independence, and you can use as well. And each chapter is going to outline the steps, but it's also going to give you tons of resources, online resources, podcasts, workbooks, spreadsheets, everything you need in one place to work towards financial independence step by step. Now, you may be at one place where another listener may be at another place in the process, and that's okay, because you can start wherever you are in this process. Whether you're young in your 20s and just starting to make money, which is the first step, create a high income career or business, and then walk through each successive step. And we're going to have links to our free online course. We're going to have links to all those other resources that I mentioned before. And accompanying it, we're going to be launching a series of podcasts as well, so you can follow along. But you can also go to our website, nextlevelincome.com/financial freedom book. That's nextlevelincome.com/financial freedom book. And the link is here in the show notes to reserve your free copy as soon as it is ready for you. So let's dive in. Today, I'm going to cover Chapter 1. I'm also going to outline the 5 steps that we're going to work through in the ebook as well as the podcast series. So let's talk about the 5 steps first. And to be clear, this isn't complicated. It's not easy, but it's not complicated. So we're here to break it down for you so you have a step-by-step plan to work through this. So step 1 is build a high income career or business, because you need income, you need capital to be able to generate that money that you can ultimately put to work for yourself. This can be a high paying career. It could be a business. It could be entrepreneurship. It could be a hybrid of both, which myself and my wife have done for many years as well. And that's actually a really good strategy. So chapter 1 is going to dive into that. And I highly encourage you, in conjunction with chapter 1 that we just released here in the past couple weeks, for our newsletter subscribers, go back and listen to episode 300 of the podcast with Craig Ballantyne. Craig is going to give you access to a free copy of his book. He's got multiple books out there, but I would highly suggest the Perfect Week Formula. It's the same formula that I used to start my business, to write my first book, and to really generate more income in my career and in my business, so that we could ultimately get to step 2, which is hit a savings goal of 50%. Now, you might hear that number and say, Chris, I can't imagine being able to save 50% at this point. Even if you're a high income earner, that can be a very lofty goal. And that's okay. That's a target. You can start wherever you are. But chapter 2 of the book, which we're going to dive into in the next episode in this series, is going to talk about some strategies and some tools that you can use to increase your savings rate up to that 50% level. Because what I've found working with our coaching clients over the last 5 years is, if you have a high income career, if you have a high income business, and you're saving 50% after tax, that's a little caveat there, makes it a little easier, you can typically achieve financial independence in 5 to 10 years. Most of us coming in around 7 years to be able to do that. And when you're saving aggressively like that, that creates the options for more investments that you can make. And chances are you're already doing a lot of the things to get to that level. So I'm going to dive deep into that. Now, chapter 3 is actually going to piggyback onto chapter 2. It's going to help you supercharge your savings rate. And how are we going to do that? We're going to share tax strategies. We're going to share connections to partners of ours that can help you lower your tax rate. The same strategies that I use to lower our tax rate from over 30% all the way down to 17%. So we cut our tax bill by over 40%. And when you save money on taxes, that automatically drops down to your bottom line. So just imagine if you paid 50% less in taxes, how much more would that be for you that you could invest? Let's say you're making $300,000 and you're paying $100,000 in taxes. That could be an extra $50,000 that you could invest each year and really help you get to financial independence that much quicker. So once you have that high income career, once you have optimized your savings and your tax strategy, you need to look at insurance structures. You need to look at your entity structures. Need to look at your estate plan. So we're going to walk through not only the tax piece of it, but also, do you have the proper entity set up? There are three insidious things that can rob you and your family of wealth. One, we already talked about, is taxes. Two, it could be death or a significant injury or illness. My father passed away at 5. My sister died in a car accident, tragically, at 42. If something happened to you, do you have the right structures? Do you have the right insurance set up to protect you and your family? Not only structured for the long term, but also structured for those short term circumstances that have a way of creeping into our lives. Now, everybody likes to get to the end of the formula, which is investing. Chris, what do I invest in? How do I create passive income to replace my active income? Because the reality is, your 401k doesn't buy you freedom. Cash flow buys you freedom. It replaces your income. It can fund your lifestyle. It allows you to reinvest and grow that snowball of passive income, of wealth, that really gives you freedom in life to do what you want to do. So chapter 4 is a really big chapter. It's a really big topic that we're going to break out, and we're going to give you access to our LP syndication course. So if you're a limited partner, if you're an investor, we're going to give you free access to our course so you can walk through all the questions that you should be asking to syndicators, to operators, when you're looking at different investments, specifically in alternatives in real estate that are out there. Now, one of the things that my family and I are working through right now with our estate planning attorney is the structure of our estate. After you've created the income, after you've optimized your taxes, after you've hit this point of saving enough and ultimately investing enough to get to the point of financial independence, what do you do after that? How do you create generational wealth? We're going to talk about 1031 exchanges. We're going to talk about how to reinvest in a tax efficient way. So you're not starting over every time you sell a property and trying to figure this out. You're going to have a long-term plan, not just for the next 5 to 10 years, but for the next 20 plus years. And ultimately, we're going to transition into talking about taking your financial freedom to generational wealth. This is something like the Rockefellers did. Not only did they build wealth and create wealth, because if you're listening, chances are you have probably become successful. You have a successful career where you're earning a significant amount of money. Maybe you're a physician. You've gone to school for multiple decades, and now you've earned a lot of money. You've stored a lot of wealth in your different vehicles that are out there. How do you teach the next generation how to properly steward that money, but also how do you effectively structure your estate so that you just don't give a bunch of it back to the government? Because we believe that if you're proper stewards of wealth, then you should keep as much as possible so you can continue to grow that. You can provide opportunities for other people. You can donate to causes that are important to you as well. And we're going to talk about how combining cash value life insurance, long-term asset ownership in the proper structures, and things like 1031s, in addition to education, can not only get you to financial independence, but can allow your family and future generations not only to keep it, but to ultimately grow it. So I'm very excited to launch this new ebook. Again, it's How to Be Financially Free by 40. Check out the website, nextlevelincome.com/financial freedom book. Go there, register to receive the first copy of the ebook as soon as it's released, along with all of our suite of free resources. So you're going to get access to all of the resources that historically only our top coaching clients have gotten. And stay tuned to this podcast because we're going to be launching every couple of weeks a new episode in conjunction with our chapters as they're released as well. Stay tuned.